everyone. All righty. Down to my left-hand side. Good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Good morning. That's okay. I'd like to call the Transportation Policy Committee to order today, being the 19th of March in 2024. Glad we see everyone here, and we have a quorum, I believe. And having been given the agenda prior to this morning, I pray that you have reviewed the safety procedures. All righty. Do we have any visitors this morning, or someone who'd like to have public comments for today? No, everybody's just here just because the faces are beautiful. Okay. Thank you. All righty. I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes from February 20th, 2024 meeting.
So moved. Second.
Thank you, Mr. Massengale, for the motion, and Ms. Kovar for the second. There's no discussion. I will call for the vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes from February 20th, 2024, please vote by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All righty. We are down to business. Item number 6, discuss and take appropriate action regarding Resolution 2024-03. I think we have Mr. Jones here with us for
I'm
that.
going to introduce Michael Mangum, who's
Okay.
the chair of our advisory committee, and he will handle item 6 and item 7, as a matter of fact.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Come on down.
Good morning. How's
Good
everybody?
morning.
All right. Item 6 is the discuss and take appropriate action regarding the resolution to approve and advance the 2024 Public Transit Advisory Plan, or PTASP, targets this is to advance, y'all get your approval on them. In July of 2018, the FDA published the Public Transportation Agency Safety Plan, or PTASP, final rule, which became effective in 2019. This rule requires operators of public transportation systems that receive federal funds under FTA's Urbanized Area Formula Grant to develop safety plans to include the processes and procedures to implement safety management systems. And since we receive federal grants, the formula grants, we are required to do the plan. So we have a safety plan, but as part of the safety plan, it includes establishing organization safety performance targets. And these targets must be updated and certified annually by the transit agency, and then which we took it to our Lubbock Transportation Advisory Board on February 28, 2024, and they approved it, and we took it to the TAC on March 7th, and they approved it, and so here we are in the third step. Transit agencies are required to make the safety performance targets available to the MPO to aid in the transportation planning process, and then FTA and FHWA joint pledging regs also require the MPOs to incorporate transit safety targets into the metropolitan planning process by integrating directly or referencing performance measures and targets as part of the mandated performance-based program. If you can go to the next slide. I don't know, do y'all have something that looks like this? These are the, okay. Oh, did I advance it? Sorry. There we go. Okay, there we go. The top, what these are based off of, the baseline is based off a 5-year average, okay? So our last 5 years, how we've done in each category, that sets our baseline, and then we set our target for next year based off of the, how it's going, newer equipment, what's going on there. So and the target is what's going to happen when we drop the oldest year off and add the newest year in, how that's going to average out. It's not, so you can't just get 1.5 injuries in a year, but we want the 5-year average to hit this after this next year. So fatalities, knock on wood, of course we've had 0. We hope our target is always 0 fatalities. Injuries, our rolling average has been 2.0 for the last 5 years, and our goal for next year is 1.5. Safety events was 1.8 in that 5-year average, and we want it to go down to 1.5. And then our mean distance between major mechanical failures Our 5-year average is 52,402, and we're shooting to get to 57,000 between. And that's on demand response. That's our paratransit vans that do the curb to curb, and our on demand. That's that system. So, any questions on those targets or anything? And then on our fixed routes, the big buses, our fatalities still, of course, 0, and our target's 0. Injuries, it was been 3.2, and we're trying to get down to 2.5. And safety events is 3.4, and our goal is 3.0. And then the mean distance between major mechanical failures, 55,833, and we're trying to get that up to 60,000. And a lot of this is going to help. We got our 15 new buses that we just put into service, which is going to help with our distance between mechanical failures, because we got rid of 15 buses that were over 22 years old, and now we have some new ones. So that hopefully will help with several of these categories. But that's some of the reasons we're, pick the targets that we did. So, and any questions on those?
Mr. Michael, I have a
Sure.
question, if I may.
Sure.
And I know that on each of the different targets, performance targets, we are looking to lower our actual injuries.
Yes.
In addition to safety events, et cetera, et cetera. What are we doing other than the purchase of the new buses to help to ensure that that reduces itself?
Part of RAT Dev has a deal move to 0, and it's to get 0 injuries, 0 accident, all that kind of stuff. And we get stuff all the time. We're doing more training. We're doing, we put up more things, on the TV monitors. We're trying to get everybody's attention where when they're going out every day, that they're thinking safety, that they're looking and what can we do. And we've added, I don't know if y'all have seen our buses that have the ribbons on them attached to them. We've added those so our operators have to do a walk around before they go out. They have to sit, and then when they park, they have to go back and go and pull those off before they pull out, so they know their surroundings around the vehicle before they actually operate the vehicle, so they don't run into a pole they didn't realize was there or something like that. There's several things that we're putting into place to try to, we have Abra Doss as our training person, and we're pushing it. Really, lots of stuff. They send stuff to us all the time, and we're pushing it nonstop.
I appreciate that because I think that will help.
Yes.
Because we as humans kind of are prone to error.
Well,
I've
and
even
then
had
if
one
you
of-
do the same thing over and over and over, you're not
You get
thinking about
comfortable
it.
with it,
Exactly.
yeah.
So we try to make it where they have to, it gets in their mind before they get in and operate. Yes.
All righty.
So.
Any questions or comments from anyone else? No? All righty. And our task here today, if there's no more information in this regard, is to take action by approving, hold on, yeah, I think I'm right, hold on, let me back up. I turned my page. By approving Resolution 2024-03. All righty, can I entertain a motion? I'd entertain a motion for us to consider this item. Thank you, Mr. Atkinson and McDonald and Mrs. McDonald. Good to see you again here today. Good to know you're going to keep coming back with us. All righty, any questions or further discussion? None? All righty, all those in favor of approving Resolution 2024-03, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All righty, that item passes. And I think you're still up,
I'm
Mr.
still
Michael.
up. So agenda item 7 is kind of the same reason we have to get these approved, but this is the Transportation Management Plan, other words known as TAM. And the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act requires that all providers of public transportation establish a system to monitor and manage their public transportation assets in order to improve safety, increase reliability and performance in measures, and report performance metrics. The FDA guidance stipulates that every public transportation agency shall develop a TAM plan if it owns, operates, or manages capital assets used to provide public transportation and receives federal financial assistance. The TAM plan prioritizes funding based on the condition of transit assets in order to achieve and maintain a state of good repair. The measure of state of good repair is intended to close the gap on aging and/or poorly maintained transit assets. So each year we have to, part of our NTD and reporting to FTA, we have to come up with TAM targets, and the TAM plan covers our rolling stock, assets and our facilities. That's the two categories. So if you look, if you have that one that's highlighted gray box like that, this is our TAM plan target calculation for next year. And what this takes, it takes your fleet size, and the first part, we'll talk about rolling stock. It takes your overall fleet and the percent of your overall fleet that's past its useful life. And then you're targeting how much of that, what your target will be the next year, to how you're going to get that down, closer to zero. So our 23 performance metrics, percent exceeding the useful life benchmark, which the useful life benchmark is the number of years that they set for each vehicle. Now, it's kind of different because like a transit bus is a 12-year asset, and that's when we can replace it after 12 years. But the useful life benchmark for them, for the TAM plan, is 14 years for that vehicle. So they're looking for any vehicle that's past 14 years, when you're talking bus. I'm sorry, we'll talk bus first. And these are the big 35-footers are bigger. So if you're looking at the bus, they're looking at 14 years here. So anything's past 14 years then and on, that's what they consider past the useful life. So we had 70.67% of our fleet that was past its useful life last year. So yeah, we have quite an old fleet, but we were able to purchase 15 new Gilligs that we just got into service. So those 15 pulled us, they didn't go into service last year. They went into service this fiscal year after October 1st. So our goal for next year, we know these 15 are going to be in service, is 50.67%. That's what it pulled our deal down to with those 15 new vehicles. Now we have 15 more on order that we just put in the order for, but we won't get them till probably October or November late this year. So they won't affect this year, but they'll affect next year. So that target will even go down more next year, because we had 31 buses that were 22 years old or older. And those are the ones we're trying to replace with these first 30 that we're getting in from Gillig. So our new goal on the buses is 50.67. The second line there is our cutaway buses. Those are really the bigger paratransit vans, the larger ones. We had, 14 of those in our fleet. And all of our paratransit vehicles, because the useful life of them is 10 years for the big ones and 8 years for the smaller ones. But we've replaced, with our new ProMasters and our new New England Front Runners, in the last 2 or 3 years, we've replaced all of those. So they're 0%, and they'll still be at 0% for the next, the target for next year. And the third line is vans. Those are the smaller vans, like our ProMaster, the little ones that do more the on-demand service. There's 22 of those, but all of those are less than 8 years old. So it's 0% this year, and it's going to be 0% next year. Then you get down to equipment, and this is a big deal for us. And I don't know, some of y'all probably know about this and what we're doing here, but our autos, these are our staff cars, and we have 20 of them. There's 18. We've already got rid of 2 because we just couldn't fix them. It's going to be too much money. But we have 20 staff vehicles. We had a fleet size of 18 on here. The only way we've usually got staff vehicles in the past was when police retired their vehicles. When they're past their useful life, they got donated to us, and those became our staff vehicles. So every time we even got them, we were already past the useful life. So this stays close to 100%. We were 94.44% of vehicles that were past their useful life in staff vehicles. And we only had 1 van that was not quite past its life. But this year, with our ARP grant and approval by the Lubbock Council and all that, we're working with the Fleet Department to replace all our staff vehicles. So we're going to get all new staff vehicles this year. So that goal is 0% for next year on staff vehicles being past their useful life, which is going to be a big deal for us. So, and then we'll move on. Then we go, or any questions, sorry, on the rolling stock before I get to buildings.
Anyone have any questions? If not, I have a question.
Sure.
And it just, may be due to my eyesight.
Mm-hmm.
We have probably just under 100 vehicles, a rolling stock.
Yes.
Where do we keep all of them? And I know we have the plant, and I've driven by there.
They're
and
all there.
And I hope I'm on, help me if
Yeah.
I don't stay on key, Mr. Wade, but I'm just curious as to.
They're all on
all
our
of
lot.
these
It's hard to
fleets,
fit
really.
them in there, but they're all on our lot. You know, except for the ones we're retiring, and we don't have room to keep those, so we
Gotcha.
move those either over to fleet, or we actually have a couple vendors outside that let us store some at their lots until we're ready to send them, until fleet can take them to, you know, auction them off. But no, all the ones that are active and in the fleet are all at our lot over at our
Wow.
facility. Yeah.
Actually, it's over 100. I'm
Yes.
sorry, I was doing my own
Yeah,
numbers.
it's over 100.
Wow.
So, yes.
Okay, that's all I wanted to know.
Okay,
It-
yep.
It can really be.
Yeah, sure.
Yes, ma'am, Ms. McDonald.
I'm new at this.
No, that's fine.
You said the staff vehicles are passed down from the fleet. Is that the city?
Yes, the city passed down from police. When they retire them, we kind of look and get kind of the better of the retired ones, and we roll those in as our staff cars and
Okay,
stuff. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else? Any questions, comments?
Nope.
Information to share? All right, thank you. Go ahead, Mr.
Okay, and then the next part of it is the building piece, which there's a term rating that they give you, and term rating is either a 5 for excellent, 4 for good, 3 for adequate, 2 for pretty much in need of repair, and then 1 poor. And if you have any facility that is below a 3, then you have to come up with a plan of how you're planning on replacing it, and you know, where you're putting your money to get it replaced. And the city sends over from their building people, they do a walkthrough, pretty much a analysis of all our buildings, and it goes over, I mean, I have stuff that goes over all the stuff they look at, which includes substructure, shell, interiors, plumbing, HVAC, your fire protection, your elevators, escalator, anything like that, and they do a full review. You have to do that every 4 years. Our last one was done in 2021. Our next one will be in 2025. And when they came over in 2021 and went through our admin maintenance facility and our downtown transfer plaza, that's the 2 facilities that we have looked at, that they both got a 3.0 term, which is right there at adequate, but if it goes below that any, then we have to come up with a whole plan on how we plan on replacing it or getting it back up to a 3. So so we're at 3.0 right now, and the same target for next year. We're planning on keeping it at 3.0. We're trying to keep it there until we can, you know, we're going through plans on designing or picking spot for new facility and plans on all that. So just in case, whenever, if that happens, we can upgrade these. But that's I mean, our goal is 3, and it's 3 now, and we're trying to stay at a 3 for now. So we'll have to go through all that. So, any questions on the facilities?
Any questions, comments, thoughts? All righty,
That's our new goals in the TAM for next year.
all righty, and we are being asked to approve Resolution 2024-04 as well. I'd like to have a motion, if I may. Thank you, Mr. Massengale. Thank you, Mr. Kovar. All of those in favor, please vote by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, same sign. All righty.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Glad to have you with us. All righty, we are now down, up, around to our reports.
Down to the best part of the agenda. We'll be quick. We'll be quick. On page 25 is a report on our proposed federal certification examination, tentatively set for July the 23rd through the 25th. That's a Tuesday through Thursday. The review team is planning to arrive on Monday the 22nd. We talked about having the elected officials interview on Tuesday the 23rd, like 2 to 4, which is what we did the last time we did this. And then we also talked about having the public listening session on that same Tuesday from 4 to 6. In the last couple of certifications, we've had that listening session over at the Downtown Transfer Center, but we could do perhaps the lobby here at this City Hall instead of the Transfer Center this time, but we'll talk more about that later. Then they'll continue the examination on Wednesday, debrief on Thursday, and take their leave that afternoon unless nothing needs to be followed up on.
Madam Chair. Thank you. David, just heads up, Tuesday, July 23rd is a City Council Day.
Okay.
So that time period, that certainly the 2 to 4 p.m. council will be in session.
Well, normally it doesn't involve the council unless you choose to visit the examination. But always in the past, it's been in a separate meeting room. The examiners and their team will just come in, sit down, and interview the staff and city bus people.
Okay. I guess I was looking at the elected officials interview. Is that not for elected officials?
There is a part of the certification that requires an interview with 3 elected officials, and I see your point now. Okay. We'll move that, obviously, to the next day then.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, moving on page 26 is a report that says we are working as we speak with HNTB to bring our MTP forward. Since it's a contract between TxDOT TP&P and HNTB, they thought it would be appropriate to have somebody at the district be the PM of record, which they asked Kylan to do that. And Kylan will also be a co-POC, point of contact, with myself through that work. I talked with Casey Wells, who's manager of TP&P, yesterday, and he said they still don't have a firm amount of money as what our contribution will be, but he said it'd be something less than $500,000. Also, during that discussion, they talked about the TIP-STIP process, and the agreed upon terms at this point is that we will resubmit our 23-26 TIP in order to maintain the 2 out years of eligibility, and then continue with our 25-28 TIP, continue with that process to get it ready to adopt, and then submit that 25-28 TIP at the November call for revisions, quarterly call for revisions, and move forward. The timeline the consultants talked about was to be ready to go to public involvement in August on the document and look for an adoption date in September. So that's what we're working on at this point.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr. Warren.
Mr. Jones, you mentioned our share.
I'm sorry?
You mentioned our share.
The MPO share.
The MPO share, $500,000 seems a bit excessive. And I've been out of the consultant business in quite a while, and I know prices have gone up, but Colin, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong, but in the past, these have always kind of been an 80-20 type split between the feds and the locals. So I want to make sure I heard that very clearly, that you're asking this body to commit $500,000 to this study to get our MTP in place.
I'm taking that number that I got from Casey as a total cost. So he wasn't able to tell me what the MPO portion of that would be. But they're going to ask us to pony up some. They're still in negotiations right now.
Okay. I just wanted to prepare this group for a rather sizable commitment if that's what it turns into.
When I get more information, I'll bring it to you.
Madam Chair?
Go ahead, Judge, and then I'll get you, Mr. Atkinson.
So that 500,000, okay, I do want to be clear, and I think you do too, Mr. Warren. 500,000 will be our MPO's share in this consulting fee.
I'm thinking what Casey was telling me is 500,000 would be the total cost. Now,
Okay.
our contribution towards that total cost, we don't know yet.
Okay. And traditionally, Mr. Warren, 80-20 is usually?
That's a typical federal-local match, but I don't know how that applies to the MTP effort. Now that you've clarified that, Mr. Jones, 500,000 seems a little more reasonable for a total cost.
Correct.
I was a little concerned about the local cost
as well.
being 500,000.
Of course, I think as you pointed out, Mr. Warren, being in the consulting business is not bad. 500,000 and they have 82 other locations? It's a pretty good coin right there.
Before you know it, that adds up to real money.
They have 1,600 employees too.
Wow. Mr. Atkinson.
Thank you, ma'am. So, David,
So
real
does Lubbock
quick,
County.
not exact, not holding you to it. What's our fund balance for the MPO?
930-odd thousand.
Okay, good. So if we're fortunate to pay 20% of the 500, we're well covered.
Yes.
Okay, good. Final question. The timeline on here has HNTB bringing the MTP back to this body for September adoption. When then will we get final approval of the MTP? When will it become real?
Well, I can't tell you that exactly. If you adopt it, if you approve it in September, then it has to go back through the quarterly call process. Then whenever the commission approves that November quarterly call, if our document is in that pipeline, it will be approved with whenever the commission approves that November revision cycle.
So commission approves it and then it goes to Federal Highway
Commission approves it, it's approved.
and then it's done?
Yeah.
Okay. Is this going to be back to kind of the original MPO boundary we discussed last month, or is it blowing out to get the other counties?
It's on the original one county proposition.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Mr. Jones, if you'll continue.
Okay, on page 27 is the 25-28 tip calendar that you've seen before, and we are on schedule at this point. The district is performing the decision lens analysis. Our staff is doing their analysis. We will be ready for public involvement in April. We'll take a recommendation from that then to the TAC at their May 2nd meeting, and they will send you a recommendation based on all those inputs for your May 21st meeting. Questions on that calendar? Then on page 28 is a report on the status of our congestion management dashboard, and I'm going to turn the podium over to Martine, and he's going to introduce our guests who are going to demonstrate the dashboard.
Good morning.
Good morning,
we'll try to-
Mr. Cicero.
We'll try to keep this brief, but at the same time, we want to make sure that everybody can utilize and view this product that we're working. We have been working hand in hand with Mr. Batania, Tamar Batania. He's a grad research assistant at TTU. He's currently working under Dr. Frank Liu in the civil engineering department at TTU to help move this project forward. He is currently a grad student trying to complete his PhD. As you can kind of see here up front, this dashboard is very similar to one that was already created for the TxDOT district. However, we have made some adjustments so that way we can utilize it here in the AMPO and have our stakeholders utilize it in the AMPO to do things that are required underneath the PM standards that we have adopted and tried to move forward in support of TxDOT. And so that's what this dashboard is utilized for. It's to be able to take a look at all the severe and fatal crashes within the region, within our MPO boundary, to be able to utilize those, to be able to evaluate projects. So as this comes along, it'll come in handy in the future when we evaluate projects, whenever we do a call for projects. And it will also help us to be able to do policy making strategies here with the board, with the TAC, with the ad hoc pedestrian committee. And so what this dashboard will be utilized for is many functions. And that's what we're pretty excited about. This is very similar to many dashboards that have been created for larger MPOs, much like it has for, you know, dashboards that you could see for, like, an example for out in Arizona for the MAG or Maricopa Association governments, one that has been created for something like Dallas and Fort Worth MPO. And so that's bringing us forward and being able to do some of those analysis to be able to bring information back to you in real time. And so this dashboard is approximately 3 months old. And the reason why it's 3 months old is because the data is only updated by TxDOT every 3 months. And so as soon as a new fresh batch of data comes in, the data gets processed and it gets inputted here. I am going to call up Mr. Patania to be able to come in and to be able to kind of show the bells and whistles of this dashboard, and after which I'll be able to stand and answer any questions you may have.
Good morning, is it Batania?
Yes.
Thank you for being here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah. So we have this dashboard to like making the data talking with us. So it's like make us easier for dealing with the data and see that what's happening in the area that we are interested in. Like if we say that we're interested in the Lubbock County, so we select that from the county filtration here. You will select that here and filter all the data based on the county and make the dynamic filtration for each variable that we have. That's year's trends, Monday trends, days, how's the trends every day is like, and the hours. And we know that's the most of the crashes happens like in the 5 p.m. of the time, and you can filter that based on the time here. As you're selecting the region of the time, you will selecting the or filter the data here. And what's important here in this report is showing that the projects that we have as showing here, that the green line is the completed projects and the red line is uncompleted projects or open projects as we call. We have this interchange, that's the red dot and the green dot here. And we can filter that based on the CSG number or the ID of that project. So let's say we select one of the CSGs here. He will show me the crash trends on that project, and he will show me here's the hotspots in that project, where the most crashes happens and why it happens. If I want to select, I can just choose this option and select this region. He will show me the trends and the contribution factor 1, 2, 3, if there is any contribution, other contributions, and the first harmful events and the objects, and the crash severity on that place, with the road class, weather condition, and the road relation. And also we can like, just go back. We can also filter based on the area. So it's MPO on or off. Let me just turn this off. Yeah. So we can select that based on the area here. So we can select, if we say on, he will give me the crashes only on the boundaries of the MPO limits. Also, I can select that based on the city, like this one. He will give me the crashes related to that city exactly. And we can filter based on the road type and the intersection, like is this driveway access, intersection related, or non-intersection. That's all what I have. Also, we have these indicators to give me the numbers.
Any questions at this moment?
So I'd like to point something out, because I think it might have been missed, because it's really obvious, but at the same time, maybe not as impactful unless you really understand what it is. So if you take a look at a lot of these line work here that's kind of heavier weighted, different colored, those are projects that have been completed within the MPO. Those projects, when you take a look and you evaluate what type of projects we have done in the past, a lot of the questions come up, well, have those projects made any difference? Have those projects contributed to a better today? And so when what he was indicating there and what he was showing was, when you zoom in and you actually take a look at the project, you can select that project, take a look at all those accidents that were along that corridor for the last 10 years. And so you're able to take a look at the 5 years prior to that project or the 3 years prior to that project. And then you can take a look when that project started, and you can see if there's improvement after the project. And so then, as an MPO, we're able then to say, have we improved the area based off the projects that we're choosing? And which projects are more impactful, and what projects can we focus on for the future now that we have a history and we're able to show accountability for the funds that we've expended. And so those are a lot of the answers that we were able to give kind of intuitively, because, we've seen, whenever we've improved maybe an intersection or we improved a corridor, and then we open it up and we say, hey, this corridor is working really well. But what's the proof, right? And so this now is able to give us firm data to be able to show to anybody, hey, we are improving the region, and this is how we're improving it. Here's where your money went. This is how we've expended those funds, and this is the improvement that we've seen from it. And so from a planning standpoint, it's no longer just gut feeling. It's no longer, hey, visual cues. It's actually empirical data that we can drill down and then be able to show how we're supporting the state goals and the district goals and the MPO goals in the future. Sorry. Now we can go ahead and ask any questions you may have.
Mr. Atkinson.
Thank you. Martin, is this now available that we can all get to it and use it?
It's not public yet. We wanted to bring it in front of you first to make sure that everybody felt comfortable here. We can make it available for the policy committee and the technical committee to be able to kind of drill down, play with, and be able to visualize. And then any input that we receive from you, we would like to implement that first before we make it live on the website. But this is very close to being able to put out live.
Wow. Anyone else? Mr. Atkinson again? This is exciting, man. I want to go home now and just kind of play with it all day. I mean, to have that type of information readily available is huge, I would say.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Warren.
Thank you, Martine. Appreciate it. This is going to be a great tool. I think it's very valid as long as the data is kept up to date. So many times we get a phone call from an upset driver parent about a certain location being the most deadly in Lubbock County, and this helps us go in and verify, do we seriously have a problem, or is it really somebody expressing their grief over the loss of a loved one? We also have a district-wide version of this that we utilize on a regular basis during our quarterly fatal traffic reviews. It helps us identify, is there something we need to do? Or is it just a bad situation one time, a one-off? So, anyway, appreciate the presentation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. All righty. All right, Mr. Jones, you've just been tagged back in.
All right, let's go back to page 30. You have a copy of FTA's and FHWA's approval of your year-end report. Then on page 31 is a map supporting the naming sequence that's outlined in Senate Bill 992, approving the I-27 naming designations. Then on page 32 is another graphic showing the entire route of the Ports to Plains. And just to know that the I-27 corridor is very critical to linking the energy and agricultural industries to state, national, and international trade, and it is estimated to grow Texas gross domestic product by over $55.6 billion in the next 20 years. It's also going to create 178,600 construction jobs and add 17,000 long-term employment opportunities. That's according to a release from Congressman and Chairman Arrington's office. Then on page 34 is a notice to proceed, or notice of proposed rulemaking from FHWA regarding a proposal by FHWA to discontinue the general waiver of Buy America requirements for manufactured products and to make everyone then buy American-made products. And they are also proposing new standards for applying that rule if, in fact, the waiver is discontinued. The connection here is that they are also seeking information on the use of manufactured products in highway and roadway projects with regard to their domestic availability. And so the takeaway is that it might be worth a conversation with your purchasing agent or your consulting engineers or your construction contractors to see if any of the your construction might be affected if that waiver is discontinued. Your prices might change drastically. If you want to make comments, you have until May 13th, 2024, and I have the link if you're interested in doing that. Then, beginning on page 35, I have a series of slides concerning the total solar eclipse that's coming on April the 8th. Most of you probably already know that eclipse will occur on April the 8th, and the U.S. will experience a total solar eclipse like we did in 2017. The one in 2017 had almost the opposite diagonal across the United States as this one shows. The event won't last more than 4.5 minutes, but it will draw an estimated 5 million people who are planning to travel to the path of totality on the day of the event. The path of totality will cross 13 states, including Texas, where special events and viewing stations are already being planned at the Cotton Bowl and Arboretum in Dallas, Baylor University Football Stadium in Waco, and the Austin Central Library in Austin. And just so you know, TxDOT has been preparing for months, getting ready for the events, as have the other state DOTs in the 12 states in the direct line of the path of totality. Not to say the least about the 26 other states on either side of the center line. USDOT, FHWA, NASA, the National Operations Center for Excellence, and a few other agencies have been working with all state DOTs, National Weather Bureau, national, state, and local law enforcement, communications specialists, emergency responders, local governments, news outlets, National Trucking Association, and towing operators nationwide to provide information in order to proactively manage highways and rural roadways. The only really hard evidence anyone has at this point to fall back on about why we need to plan and how we need to plan for this event is based on the debrief of the 2017 event. This slide notes a few reasons why we need to plan for the event, oops, I went too far. And the last one is probably the most important, is that on departure, we're going to have an extensive traffic congestion problem all up and down that path of totality. In total darkness, there is a potential for massive traffic impacts that will be exacerbated by cultural and religious meanings. 32 million people live within the path of totality. And USDOT and FHWA are saying they will produce the largest mass traffic event ever in the United States, and that we need to prepare for severe congestion, traffic incidents, weather, soft target attacks, and communication failures, and develop an implementation strategy including traffic modeling and signal scenarios, pre-stage traffic control, bypass routes, and restricting and enforcing parking control strategies. If you'll read down through that slide, you can get a better idea of why congestion is important, and we need to plan on it. All up and down that corridor, in the 2017 event, they got to nearly a level of service F, which was basically a quagmire. The takeaway here is that all state DOTs and other first responders is not to worry so much about people coming in, but worry a lot about people trying to leave all at once, especially on two-lane rural roads. Watch especially for pedestrians, and don't take pictures while you're driving. Try to convince your viewing party to arrive early, stay put, and leave late. On a lighter note, NASA is deeply involved with planning for the event. They say you need special glasses so you don't harm your eyes, and they recommend an ISO standard 12312-2, which is an international standard, and no, they don't certify them. You can go to their website for more information, and you can also see a myriad of scientific experiments that they plan to perform during that event. Someone at our TAC meeting suggested that you could probably get those glasses for free at the Tech bookstore, the Tech museum, or probably other drugstores around town. And the last report is our financial report on page 39 is through
Madam Chair.
January.
Yeah, Mr. Warren, Mr. Jones.
I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, before we move off the eclipse, TxDOT has been having weekly meetings to prepare for the event, and the Lubbock District has been involved in those calls. You mentioned the significant congestion following the event. The models are showing no significant increase in the Lubbock region of congestion due to this event, but we stand ready to assist other districts in the path. And we will be standing up our emergency operations center on that day. But I just wanted to kind of assure everybody we're not really expecting to see a significant increase in congestion in the Lubbock region. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Warren.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
Oh.
Ms. McDowell.
that was my question as well, because to the depth at which we will see it, we're pretty far removed from the direct path.
We are, yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other comments? All righty, Mr. Jones.
Our financial report on page 39 is through January for the 33rd percentile. We are only showing 21% collected on our revenue at this point, but we are at 25% on our expenses, so we're good on our budget. And that's my report.
Felt like those you just breezed by those, and it didn't take nearly as long as I thought. But thank you so much for the information in the reports, Mr. Jones. I appreciate you. Any other comments, questions, statements? All righty. Hearing none, I say that we are adjourned.
Thank you for your attendance. I know you're busy. We appreciate you being here.